Alright, welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classic Lesser Known Classics. This is episode number 3375 and Doubleshot 3269. Got two DC trades for you. This is going to be quite interesting to discuss these two. First up, from the All Initiative, we have the New Gods. This is the New Gods, Volume 1, The Falling Sky. I looked this up, and this is quite interesting. First New Gods ongoing series since 1998. Yes, believe it or not, this is the first book for them since '98. Why in the world it took so long to give them their book? Yes, there was also the Jack Kirby's New World, obviously. Yes, there was that. But I found that interesting. Yes, like I said, there was Jack Kirby's Fourth World. That came right after New Gods got canceled. After only 15 issues. Which that was written and drawn by the Jack Kirby's Fourth World book. Yeah, it was starring New Gods, but it was basically just, as the title was called, Jack Kirby's Fourth World. But here is the thing. Just something called New Gods. First one says that one. And that had many different writers in 15 issues. The opening issue had Tom Payer and the late Rachel Pollack with Luke Ross on the artwork. The final issue had, I think it was the same creative team. No, last issue was done by John Byrne. I think that was set up the relaunch of the title. Excuse me. But yeah, first one says that one. Now here's something really weird. Despite this book being financially just for DC Comics, I did hear something. Apparently this book is ending after only 12 issues. Despite the fact Ram V said this is supposed to last for 30. Doesn't make any sense. This book collects the first 6 issues of this book, written by Ram V, artwork by Evan Cago, Jorge Fernandez, Jesse Logan, Ricardo Farici, Bernard Chang, Andrew McCain, and Felipe Andre. Now, I did ask Ram V about this title, like how is he going to treat it per se, because this is basically a classic title featuring classic characters created by the late Jack the King Kirby. He's like, oh yeah, I'm already like Jack the King Kirby. Yeah, and this is quite interesting to say the least. Okay, so the book starts out with, get this. So we start off with, it looks like to be like a little nod to, I think this is a partial nod to the All-in-One Shot. And then we see the Source Wall, which I think this was the first time that it's appeared, off the top of my head, that it's appeared in a comic book, since I think that crossover Godhead, that was the last time I could think of anyways. Actually no, it did appear in afterwards, yes, but it also last appeared in Green Lantern. So they have Metron look at the Source Wall, so Haima, and then we have Light Ray. Here at New Genesis, yeah, it's a floating city. So, and of course, basically, Orion is given a task. He's basically at a planet where he gets to a fight. Now, if anybody's implying the fact that the Mr. Miracle mini limited series is canon, we have two small little problems with that. Number one, Orion died in that book. He was killed by Big Barda. And second, Big Barda and Mr. Miracle had a boy named Jacob. Here, they have a daughter. Where their son is, it's not really clear. So, they have Mr. Miracle sneak out the house, not waking the baby. And here he is talking to his adopted brother, who the artist draws to be so beefy And then he mentioned, oh, he has to kill a child. And then we go from the handsome face to him using the device to make him look like this. I'm like, yeah, he's the son of Darkseid. Fine. I don't get why they have the altered face for, because his face has generally been the same, and a lot of the time he very rarely takes off his helmet. Yeah, it's very rare. I mentioned the whole thing escape. And then we're introduced to this particular person, this child. And here it is, at the end of the book. I do have one question here. Where the heck is Scott Free's son, Jacob Free? They mention his daughter, Olivia, who's in the book, but they don't mention exactly what happened to his first child. There's no mention of the child at all, which is interesting. So, and then we have more of the weird stuff, because it's Jack Kirby, and then we see various characters. Surprisingly, Grant Gustin does not play a role in this book. And then we see Mr. Miracle put on his costume. Yes. And then we see Big Barda. Yes, Big Barda. A woman who was based upon Jack Kirby's wife. And here's a weird fun fact I found out recently in a documentary about Jack Kirby. Did you know his real life wife was actually taller than he was? And apparently it seems like Scott Free was based upon him. And I'm like, that was just so nice for Mrs. Kirby. Like, I'm sure Jack's like, hey, my character is based upon you. Is like, cool. She's taller than my character, and she's beautiful. Yes. And apparently his joke is, I like big women. That was something he said in a documentary. Jack Kirby. So I was like, yeah, you're in DARPA duty forever. And of course this child basically does whatever. Then we see this guy here. We see the Omega symbol. That's interesting. Yep, Metron does his own thing. And a lot of this is basically kind of weird. Weird alien stuff. Which, I can appreciate the artist does a really good job. I'm not sure exactly why they have consistent artwork on a lot of the issues, but okay. Oh yeah, about Oberon's got an island. Oh, by the way, I keep bringing this up. There was a thing with Oberon in the Justice League International book where he briefly got engaged to Fire. Yes, seriously. That was a brief thing. They got engaged but didn't go anywhere. There's a bunch of like some ancient stuff. Big Barda crushing a car. And of course he smiled at the fact, yes. It's like, ooh, the boys have so much trouble. And then we have Highfather and this new look for him, which is interesting. Yeah, he seems like he's a bit slimmer than he was. And then we have this guy called Hyman, who's this guy with fire. And just all about the New God stuff here. It's not really terrible per se. I do gotta admit, it's a lot of really good sci-fi stuff. Yeah. Then Ryan tries to strike the child. And then we have this guy, and then we have the Black Racer appear. And we have basically this artist trying his best to recreate the style of Jack Kirby. Yeah, it's very similar. I do appreciate the fact they're drawing the style of Jack Kirby for a few pages. Yep, and we get a shocking guest star in the end of one of these issues on Kids Hits. So Ryan does basically try to protect the baby, and Light Ray and Orion trying to go after. And then issue 5 ends. Where it seems like Orion is trying to punch Mr. Miracle when frickin' Superman shows up, which I think this might be the first time Ram V has ever written Superman into a comic book from DC Comics. I should point out that the man has not really written a lot of DC Comics. You're like, really? Well, at the top of my head, the only things I can think of is raised from Detective. He wrote Catwoman, Justice League Dark. I believe he wrote the backup feat Justice League Dark in Justice League. Okay, here's overall what he's written. He wrote the Aquaman Andromeda miniseries. Yep, he wrote this thing. Let's see. The Catwoman special. He wrote a few issues of Urban Legends. Of course, yes, he was a writer for Catwoman. Detective for a lengthy period of time from 1006 to then wrap up to 1089. He wrote a few Future State books. Catwoman, Future State Gotham, one issue. Future State Justice League, Future State Swamp Thing. He did the Swamp Thing, and then he did the the Vigil, the Swamp Thing, Resurrection, Quantum Karma. Yeah, he's the writer of this book, which I think is like the only other book he was writing this year aside from this book. And I think it was just a limited series. Yeah, it actually just, I think it just wrapped up just recently. He also did an issue of New Year's Evil. So, of the series he's written, the only ones I have reviewed previously before this book has been Urban Legends, Catwoman. Well, just like I think this was the Just Like Darker Pickup feature. Excuse me. Yes, it's a Just Like Dark feature. Just Like Dark itself. This book, obviously. The Swamp Thing. So I reviewed a lot of the comics he's written for DC Comic, which is awesome. Yeah. And then we have Orion. Then we have, starts out with Light Ray. And then comes this weird stuff here with this weird artwork. We have Light Ray all focused on him for issue 6. And you think, like, with the end of issue 6, like, oh, we have him confronted by Superman. At the end of the issue, we pick up right where we left off. Not really, no. Though I'm thinking having Superman appear in the book was interesting. Yeah, I thought that was a really cool cameo. Because Orion turned bad, and a lot of issue 6 focus on Light Ray. We just go through all this stuff here. And then we get back to present day. Then we have Basic Fall in the Sky. And we're present day for, like, get this, for 3 pages, and then the book ends. Okay, interesting. I did actually enjoy this. I give this book roughly a 9 out of 10. Yes, if you're curious, aside from this book, like, what are series left to go for Ram V to review? The Vigil, Resurrection Man, Quantum Karma, excuse me, and Aquaman Andromeda. And that's it. Yeah, roughly 3 books. It is mostly put just mini-series. Yeah, all the ongoing stuff I've reviewed now. But for mini-series, about 3 left. Alright, so next up we have is Batman not Urban Legends, Brave and the Bold, the book there that kind of functions the same way as Urban Legends, where we have trades to collect various stories from this ongoing series, and the specific says, oh, this collects. Okay, I'm glad the fact this actually was correct because the previous two trades to do this collects sections from Batman Brave and Bold issues 17 to 13. And your stories are Mother's Day, written by Carl Kitzler, Sweet Science Christmas Cage, Communion by Gabriel Hardman, Nameless from Matthew Harding, artwork by Mike Henderson, The Plays Within, written by Dahlia S. Dawson, artwork was Serge Acuna, and George Combadus. And Michael W. Conrad as Private Steen with P.J. Holden on the artwork. So, basically, where did these stories come from? Well, in the case of The Poison Within, which is the Dahlia story, that's actually from issues 10 to 13 of the series. Well, at least this volume anyway. So, what is from issue 7, you might ask? Well, 7, they have only one story, Communion. Yeah, that is the only story they have from the first issue. It's the same thing with issue 8, just Communion. And issue 9, just the Communion story. I think like the Wild Dogs, I think it was like in the previous trade paperback. Yes, I think it was. So, by the way, with this third trade here, for issue 7 through 9, they've collected almost the whole issue, except for the black and white stuff. So, Mother's Day is from issues 10 to I think it's like 12, I think it is. No, yes, 10 and 12. Yep. That's pretty much where that's where that story comes from, is issues 10 through 12. Poison Within is basically issues 10 to 13. You're like, okay, what about Sweet Science, Nameless, and Private Steen? Sweet Science and Private Steen is from issue 11. So, you could say this trade paperback pretty much clicked almost the entirety of issue 11, except for the black and white issue. 12 is just the A story and the B and the C story. Or the first story and the third story. Yep. And 13, just third story. Oh, by the way, the cover for the trade paperback here, that's actually from the cover of issue 12. So, it's kind of interesting that we start with the stories from 10 to 12 first. First off, Mother's Day. Well, this is interesting. So, it says it takes place 1 year for the events of present day. Where we have, get this, we have just Bruce Wayne drop off basically this girl whose name is Issa with this woman, and then Bruce starts dating her in present day. Yep. This beautiful woman. Who I think this was her first appearance. Or, yeah. Let's see. Actual name is Olivia. That's the girl's name. So, Issa McPherson. She's actually from the Gotham Academy series. Interesting we brought her back here. Yes, a character who first appeared in Gotham Academy and then she returns here. First time since Gotham Academy. She's only in this feature. Oh, and Olivia here is Olivia Sherlock. I believe, if I remember correctly, that she was a character. Now, how she got to the Academy, if I remember correctly, I think she was like the lead character from the book. So, I do find it interesting, though, that kind of in a way, this three-parter, Mother's Day, is all about basically revisiting the Gotham Academy series, which in my opinion was a very good series that was just abruptly ended for no reason. So then, of course, they meet some guy like, oh, from Burnside. Okay, Burnside, that was a new thing. So Bruce finds the model unconscious. And then Batman switches to this costume, which is interesting. Then he just, gets wounded, of course. He meets up with a model who he goes away with. And then we have where Langstrom, yes, who, by the way, This is still at the Gotham Academy, and he's basically taking this cure to keep his Man-Bat urge under control. Now, the place of this is weird, because at one point Man-Bat was found dead, and now he's alive again, somehow. And there was this boy named Tristan Gray, and then, of course, Batman, of course, in the classic attire, and runs into... Believe it or not, one of the characters from the actual series another character from Gotham Academy, and that being Maps Mizuka, who is an unofficial Robin. Yes. Which, this is interesting for becomes his character. Yeah, where, like in the case of basically like in the case of other stuff, this is a return of the Gotham Academy stuff, which I just find it interesting, the fact that we bring back Maps, aka she's not exactly official Robin, but she does have her Robin costume, and basically she's out to help find her friend Tristan Gray. And if you're really curious, is Tristan himself, is he from? So, the obvious question is Tristan Gray from the Gotham Academy series? He is. Yes, and apparently he's a friend of Maps, and this was his return. You're like, what? Yes. I do find interesting the fact that they bring back Maps here. She's acting completely in character. It's interesting that we're going to have Brandon Fletcher write the story. It's called Kitchler. Which, if you're curious, did Carl Kitchler ever write the Gotham Academy series? Well... not exactly, no. He was the artist from the series, so I do appreciate the fact they brought this guy back to do the artwork here, which I thought that was really cool. At least, basically, I'm sure whoever's edited the book, and I'm sure they probably want to do like the story as a sequel to Gotham Academy. So, like, okay, so maybe Brandon Fletcher and the art writer were not available, but the artist was available. So, like, okay, I'll write the story. And I gotta admit, it's a really good story. And also the fact that, well, it becomes sort of a vampire-ish story, which is interesting. Yeah, it becomes a bit of vampire-ish because of all the Man-Bat stuff. And then, yeah, then he starts dating a professor. And then we see Alfred here, which is interesting because currently in present day he's dead. So then, of course, he finds out, oh yeah, that, yes. So then Maps helps rescue her friend, obviously. And I think then of course, basically where our character just goes looking for Bruce Wayne, and he's hanging on the model. And he's bandaged up. Yeah. I actually like that story, Mother's Day, because as somebody who really enjoyed reading Gotham Academy, I'm like, wow, I did not expect basically to see a follow-up from the series. Bringing back characters who are actually from that series, having the artist doing the writing and artwork for the story was amazing. you can definitely see why like anybody who reads this story, like, wow, this was really good. It's a shame, basically, the cancel Gotham Academy. And that's from 10 and 12, the 3-part story. So next up, basically, is the Sweet Science, where this is interesting. So, Sweet Science, I believe that's from issue number 11. Yeah, it's a Batlash story. Yes, Batlash. Those of you who don't know who Batlash is, he is an old Western character. And this interesting comes to the story here. The Batlash story itself, it is written by Christos Gage, art by Danny Kim. Yes. Oh, and in case you're curious, though, when it comes to Batlash himself, like, yes, for some weird reason, they threw this guy in. He previously appeared before this book. He debuted in All-Star number 10, 23-10, and then he appeared a couple issues of Dark Knight Dead Metal. Now he appears in this book. Yeah, it's just a standalone Batlash story, which is interesting. Him trying to get a prostitute bought out. It's a boxing thing. Really interesting standalone story. And then we jump to issue 7, which is a Aquaman story. Yes, an Aquaman story and a Batman title. Yes. I think this was just before I got his new ongoing. So, Aquaman here. Oh, by the way, this Aquaman story, Communion, this is written by Gabriel Hardman. So, we have still going here with these fish and the robot, and then apparently this robot turns out to be and then get this, he runs into the Dominators. Oh, okay, the whole thing with him and aliens, he very rarely encounters alien. Like, if it was with any of his comic books, aliens very rarely ever appear in this comic book. The reason why is because he's underwater. And, of course, he's familiar with the Dominators because, I'm guessing because he remembers the invasion story from the 80s. And he runs this person in this suit, turns out to be a gorilla from Gorilla City. And then, of course, he gets teleported to Gorilla City. Yep. And of course, oh, he's an intruder. And he requests to see Savitar. Which, yeah, here's Savitar. You're like, that's interesting. And you're thinking, why is that? Because in pre-Flashpoint, Savitar died. And you're like, wait, what? He died? How did he die? Believe it or not, a car bomb. Yes, he got killed off to kick off a storyline known as JL Ape. Yes. And by the way, as of currently, he is deceased. So this is set before his passing. Yeah, because he's been dead in the comics now for about 6 years. Obviously, he's here. His appearance here, just a guest star appearance. This is obviously in the past. So, he teams up and, of course, reads his mind. And it's a really fun story for Aquaman. And then we have our next story here. Which, by the way, that story communicates from 7 through 9. Next up is Nameless. Nameless, I believe, is also from issue number 11. No, it's not from issue 11. It's from, let's see. Where is Nameless from? 10. So Nameless is from issue 10, which is also basically where they got Mother's Day and Poison Within. This actually is this is the third story in the book. Yeah, this story here, Nameless, is basically a story that features, of all people, the Signal. Yes. A character who a lot of DC writers just don't care to put in their comic book. Yes. No one cares about this guy, except maybe Scott Snyder, maybe one or two people. So yeah, it's a quick standalone story for him. And then we have a 4-part story about Artemis. This is basically The Poison Within. This is a 4-parter where it's all focused on Artemis, where she's like fighting through various individuals. And it's like a quest for her. It's the second ever like solo feature. First is Aquaman, and then Artemis. Yes. Then, of course, has the battle of a military force. Yes, a military force. And breaks through to them. I gotta love the arc here. Arc is gorgeous. I love the arc here. It's really good. And after dealing with them. And then we have one last story from issue 11. This is basically Private Steen, which is a Sergeant Rock story. Yes, a Sergeant Rock story. Which, it's in line basically from the classic stories from the 70s. And that's it. Really good stuff here. And believe it or not, there is another trade paperback for this stuff. You're like, really? Yes, really. There is another trade paperback that has released. This only is the third I have reviewed, because I have viewed The Winning Card, Out of Darkness, and now Legend of Justice. The Winning Card, just collect the Winning Card storyline from issues 1, 2, 5, and 9. Out of Darkness, collected the Paimon, Order of the Black Lamp, Second Life, Mr. Baseball, Here Comes Trouble. So, you're probably thinking, is basically the first 6 issues fully reviewed now? The answer is no. No, they're not. Yeah. Because, of course, they still haven't collected the black and white stories here. So, there is still technically one more trade paperback left to go that has been released for Batman Brave and the Bold. And then that's it. There's only the second one released this year. There is one more left. And it's actually $2 cheaper than this one. This was like $19.99. Yep. But, yeah. No, I give it 9 out of 10. I thought it was really good. Yep. It's a shame the book got canceled after only 20 issues. And I think the reason why now this book existed was to promote the movie, which hadn't released yet. And some of you might be asking, was the book's cover price like $6? Because I remember something that, what was it? It was, oh yeah, Urban Legends was like almost $10 an issue. Now, it's going to be quite interesting to discuss. Now, I would say this trade paperback here only fully collect almost entirely one issue. You're thinking, which one? Issue number 11. Yeah, issue 11 was almost fully collected here. 7, meanwhile, though, As of now, with this trade paperback here, it is now collecting the first 3 stories, issue 7. For issue 8, same thing. First 3 stories. Issue 9, the first 3 stories. 10, meanwhile, though, it just collects the first 3 stories, but does not collect the game. It's a lower story. 11 is like almost the whole thing except for the black and white stuff. Issue 12, it's just the first and third stories. What about 13? 13, just the third story. If I remember correctly, I think like issue number, I think like next issue does collect basically something from issue 9. I have to check and see about the next shape back. See. Yeah, for the next one, Across the Universe. It's stories from issues 13 to 16. Which is interesting, to say the least. I'm still hoping to collect more, okay? But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe to notifications. Next up, East Sky Quartet. Okay, thanks you.